What's up, everybody? Welcome to another five-star Joshi show Q&A. It's been about 2 or 3 months since the last one. I wanted to make sure to get one out before the five-star Grand Prix, which, of course, you can check out my five-star Grand Prix preview over right here on this channel on the 20th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm going to break down every little thing you need to know about that tournament like I do yearly. I'm going to have guests on to give their prediction, to give their guesses. It's going to be so much fun. But today, like I said, all about the Q&A. I've taken questions from Discord, from Twitter, and pretty much any chat that someone wants to send me a question. I've taken them all. I've put them all into this little slideshow, and we're going to go through every single one. I'm going to sit here and answer every single one. Last time, of course, I did it live. This time we are changing it up. We're going as a recorded version, but hopefully I answer all the questions and I give some insightful answers as we head into the biggest tournament of the year in the world of women's professional wrestling, Joshi wrestling, and for me, wrestling as a whole. So instead of talking, let's get to it. Again, July 20th, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fight Game Media Network YouTube channel. Check out the five-star Grand Prix preview. But for now, let's now switch over. Let's get the Q&A going. This beautiful graphic done, right? Let's switch it up. I'll go down here. So obviously, had to start off with the generational struggle. We're going to close out with a great generational struggle question, one that I am very happy to answer, one that I'm very much looking forward to answering. But let's get started, shall we? So first up, this is from 6-star. Which wrestlers have had the worst falling outs with Joshi Promotions? Man, that's a cold one right off the bat, huh? I mean, the worst, there's a handful in history to go through. And who, like, when you think of worst, you have to think of situational, right? Obviously, Yoshiko and the Stardom incident would probably by default be the worst, but I guess that's not really a falling out necessarily. A lot of the stuff, sadly, with Ice Ribbon over the past couple years, that has been pretty ugly. And I know I'm missing a lot from the 90s, early 2000s, that I can't fully focus on because I don't know the full stories. But those are the quick answers I'll give you. I want to keep this positive. I want to keep this upbeat. But thank you. 6-star has a lot of questions along the way. So let's get into this next one. Highlight of the Catch the Wave tournament so far. That's at Ryan Dilbert on Twitter. Frankly, it's been a tough tournament. The Catch the Wave tournament for me, I first watched in 2021, and this was midway through the pandemic. Obviously, we were heavily in the pandemic. They're wrestling in front of maybe 100 people on some of those shows, and they had more life to those matches and more excitement to those matches than I'm seeing this year. It's taken a hit the past couple of years, truly. But this has been the toughest year so far. The highlight has to be Asuka Veni. I think that goes without saying. Like, her matches for me have been the only ones that I've wanted to see. And that's a shame because, again, this is a tournament that features the likes. I'm going to take my hat off here. This is the tournament that features the likes of so many talented Joshi wrestlers. And obviously the field isn't as strong as it's been in years past, but they've just dramatically changed the tournament to a point that I lose a lot of interest. It doesn't help that they've taken a lot of the wrestlers I very much enjoy out, like Emil Momino, who made it such a great impression in that 2021 one. Obviously, Suzu Suzuki was the highlight last year. So I guess it has to be Asuka Veni, but it's been a tough tournament this year. It's hard for me to recommend almost anything from the Catch the Wave, and that's a shame because that was like the other big Grand Prix round robin tournament in the Joshi world, and it's just a complete miss, frankly. Next up, what do you think will be the outcome of the Suzu Suzuki, Maika, and May Sarah team? That's at HKK2410. I think the ultimate outcome is that they're all going to be in the same group together. Now, does that mean it will be in their own faction? Does that mean they'll be in DDM? That I'm not 100% sure on yet. Personally, I think right now we are more leaning towards their own sort of group. It feels like Micah and Suzu are creating this interesting connection, right? Through the generational struggle stuff, through their tagging pretty much on every main show. I mean, this week they're teaming together without May Sarah against Tam Nakano. Actually, no, they already did against Tam Nakano and Yuna Mizumori. So it looks like we're going towards them being together in a group. Maybe as equals, maybe as not. It feels like they will be because Suzu's obviously she's the one leading the generational struggle. She's the one that made it happen. And it does feel like no matter what at the end of this, at least those two will be together. Maybe not May Sarah. May Sarah is a wild card, and I think they're still trying to fully figure out what they want to do with her. Her and Suzu just happen to be free agents at the same time, and that's made them come together. But if they were to make them a faction of their own, it'd be a great faction nonetheless. But I'm gonna say I'm leaning towards they become their own group. At Clint Jones, what do you think will happen in the future of Prominence? So I'll answer this first. I think Prominence, they're gonna keep doing their deathmatch stuff. Um, they have without Suzu, but they are no longer under the same demands that they were with Suzu, obviously, right? You don't see them in Stardom anymore. Stardom ultimately was bringing in Prominence for Suzu Suzuki. And it's a shame because I love Risa Sarah. Obviously, I couldn't do anything but sing her praises last year, but they are not getting the same bookings as they once were. Yeah, they're still doing Wave a little bit. They're doing, Risa Sarah's in Glate. Risa Sarah is still a decent ticket. Like a lot of people reach out to her, but I think they're just going to exist to exist. Ultimately, if that makes sense, they're not going to thrive, I think, like they should. And when you lose someone like Suzu, who's obviously the feature performer, it's hard to have a lot of hope in them moving forward. You ask, will they continue or will they return to other promotions? I think they're just so focused on this death match thing that the only way they don't continue pretty much is if they just all go their separate ways. I think death matches will continue to be a thing, but I think going their separate ways is very possible as well. Also, which non-prominence Joshi would be excellent for a potential death match in the future? I'll keep Rina Yamashita outside of that as well. And let me think of a off the cuff answer here. There's so many talented Joshi wrestlers, but capturing the magic of a death match and a great death match, right? I'm not talking just the death matches that people do just to do them. No, I'm talking about like the El Desperado kind where he writes such a great story with them. He writes such a great story. He makes you believe in why this is a death match, if that makes sense. Who would be fitting for that? I'll give you a Stardom answer first. I think that's definitely where some of the intrigue comes from. Um, I mean, this is gonna sound funny, but my Sakurai did such an excellent job in those hardcore matches when they were doing them at Stardom Showcase. I think she would excel in it. Like, I don't know if she wants to go that far, but she felt more comfortable in that atmosphere than I had seen her pretty much in any other wrestling atmosphere before that. I think I think she would be good. I really do. My Sakurai is an interesting answer, I'm sure, for a lot of people, but I think she would, based off of what I've seen, I think she could excel at it. I really do. I don't think Starlight Kid has the want to do it like her pal El Desperado does, so I'm not gonna pick her. I'm gonna go with my Sakurai. My Sakurai is my left field pick per se that I think could really thrive and maybe, get more legitimacy behind her too if that were ever to happen. I'm sure it won't, but I think she would do great. Uh, at widescreen Joshi, who do you think gets an excursion for Stardom in the future, and what would your top 2 to 3 must book matches for them be? It would be Julia. I think that is the first person that jumps off the page. Match one, Mercedes Monet. Obviously, I do think that happens in the US unless they're able to save out for a major Stardom or New Japan show. Rest of the year, I think the only one left is Pow or Destruction. Maybe they could do it there in New Japan, but I'm gonna say they do it on a strong show. So you book Mercedes Monet. I'd book a rematch with Willow. I think they had such great chemistry, and I'd run that Tony Storm Julia match without a doubt. I think they both want it. I think Julia obviously wants it. If you want like a more believable kind of like who Tommy has had, I'd put Julia in there with I it's a good question. I'm trying to think of, like, who that isn't, who would be able to go in there and match the intensity, right, of Julia. It's hard. It really is. Like, I know we all talk about how Julia is, like, such a star, blah, 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 but, like, there's levels to her stardom, no pun intended. And I think sometimes, like, you really need to match that, otherwise, it's kind of overbearing in a lot of ways. Um, she she is really on another level at times, and it's not a fault of anyone. She's just that good. Her and Athena would be sensational. I think Athena could absolutely match that attitude and that aggressiveness that they both have. I think that would be like probably my number one after Mercedes Monet. I think that would be a great one to do. Yeah, those would be my choices. I think those are all reasonable, and I hope you agree. But let's move forward here. On to the next slide. Ella Die 7523837. Who do you want to join Club Venus in the future? And when Mina becomes a singles champ again, should it be red or white belt? I'll answer the first question. Who do I want to join Club Venus? Club Venus is such a tough faction to book towards, obviously, because they've had so many um, international talents, and you can only find so many Mariah Mays laying around. Like Mariah May is a very special talent who would fit in like a glove in this company. I'm gonna pick someone in Japan because I think they desperately need someone who's going to stick around long term, right? They're only 3 right now. And I think when you have Xena splash back in, Jesse, if Zaya ever comes back, like that's fine. But you want another like locked in competitor that would work really well with them. Um, and I guess I don't know what's the deal with now Ishikawa, right? She came in, she did that one match as Tam Nakano, and then never came back. She would be an option, I think. It's who would work off so great with them because you're looking for a very specific, unique charisma. You really do. You really do to match what Mina and Mariah, especially, are bringing to the table. Like those two are charismatic through and through. They really are. And matching that, like I said, it's not easy. It really isn't. Um, if you're looking for an international name to kind of fit the continued theme of what they're going for, who would I have joined that's available? That's also part of the problem, right? you can only think of so many wrestlers that are available, and trust me, I am scrolling, I'm looking, I trying to find because what Stardom has done is right is they have gone out there and picked very specific people. They're not, they're not just picking to pick. They're picking very specifically who they want to be part of this group and who's gonna go out there and dance, who's gonna do that type of stuff. It's why like even Ishikawa probably isn't that great of a fit. It's really tough. I think Club Venus, like the way they are right now, as three is good, but they're going to need help, right? They're going to need help sooner rather than later. And I think I just trust them to find the right people. I mean, you can have your feelings about any of which, but I think especially with the likes of Mariah May, she's proven a lot of people, hey, you should appreciate this talent. You should pay attention, right, to what is going on here. And yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with now Ishikawa mostly because I can't think of like independent wrestlers. Like truthfully, I don't have any of the three that they had on their radar for the group, and I think we can mostly agree they've all worked out pretty well. So they're gonna go find someone who they feel is right for Club Venus. I know Mariah May sends out names. You know what? If Trinity ever went, she can be part of Club Venus. I think, she obviously has the background of dancing. She'd kill it. I'll give you some fun name. And obviously, her and Mariah May have talked many times on Twitter. They've teased back and forth. I don't think if Trinity was to ever come into stardom, she'd join a faction, but I think she'd be great with Mina and Mariah. I think that'd be very entertaining trio as well. I think Waka would play along well too. So yeah, let's move for. Oh, and what belt does Mina chase next? Or sorry, when she becomes a singles champion again? I don't I don't know if she does, but if she does, it will probably be the white belt. Like I could see her have title matches for both moving forward. But if you listen to the 5-star Joshi show of Kirsch right here on the Fight Game Media Network, you know that I was very much like, if Mina gets the belt, it's not going to be long because this wasn't expected. This wasn't the plan, right? And I still feel that way. Like, I still feel that way after she lost it. Yes, I thought she was going to lose it to Mirai, but nonetheless, I still feel that way about it. So, if she ever wins a singles title again, I think it'll just be the white belt and she'll get a healthy reign because I think that's the belt that connects with her the most. So if she continues to get better and better, who am I to disagree that she could be red belt champion at this point? Like she has just done things that I've never expected her to do. And I think that's awesome. I think it is. I really do. I think she is such a talented individual who has really, really put it all together. All Elite Fair. Did you post your thoughts yet on the Utami Starks match? Curious what your breakdown is on it. I did tweet out like one tweet. I did break down on the Utami video. You can check it out back in the archives right here on the YouTube channel. But I'll dive into it a little more. I think Billy really is like guaranteed locked in to be that next big American women's wrestler. I think people have been feeling that way for years, but it was last year after the TJPW mini run that she just transformed, I thought, as a wrestler. Like she felt I don't know if it's more confident. She always seems confident as a wrestler, which is obviously ideal, but everything was a little bit smoother, a little bit compact. Maybe it was just training with TJPW for a few days and learning from them. Um, but I think Billy is great, and she was one of my top options to face Utami. Masha Slamovich obviously comes in right there too because we all want to see Masha against a lot of these people. But I think Billy and Utami matched up well. I never realized how tall Billy Starks was until she was next to Utami. Um, and I think the best thing that they can do moving forward, or should I say, Billy can do moving forward is just keep taking these opportunities because she hits home runs every time. I think this is still tied for my favorite Utami match of her excursion. Now, I haven't seen the Trisha Dora one yet, but the match with Lufisto and the match with Starks, like they're right there. I thought Janai Kai obviously did great. I wish they got more time, truthfully. But this was really good. I Billy really took it to Utami more than I thought anyone was going to. Lufisto obviously did too, and Janai hit some great kicks. But Billy got a lot in, and they had a really good match that built to the finish of Utami pulling off the win with the torture rack bomb. So for a match that came together within like weeks, days, it was really solid, and I'd love to see them go at it again because I think Billy's going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and she'll be deserving of a big spot down the line. At HKK2410 back with another question: who is likely to join or leave Stardom next? I don't think anyone's leaving. Unagi was so unexpected, right? Like I can't predict who's leaving. Maika obviously retired. I'm not going to predict someone retiring. So I don't have that answer. I don't believe in like Utami. Like I know that was a big like thing on the internet because she worked with Io Shirai and went to the Performance Center. Yeah, guess what? She then went to Ring of Honor and wrestled. She hit all the big companies. So I don't think anyone's leaving anytime soon. Stardom, even if you don't think their beginning of the year was as hot as say the past 2 years has been, they're still red hot ticket sales wise. You know, they're selling out Corkins left and right. They're doing big numbers here, there, and everywhere. They are a red hot company, and it's because of this talent. Who's likely to join? Now, we had a lot of additions, right, earlier this year. Sarah New, obviously, so I won't count her, even though she's not full time with the company. You have Suzu Suzuki, May Sarah, Yuna Mizumori, Mariah May. Like those are all the key additions, and they've all been great. Who joins next? That's such like it's almost a dart throw. I would love to see Risa Sarah just sign eventually. I don't think that's going to happen. There's not really a spot for her now, assuming Prominence doesn't reform. Um, I think now Shikawa remains a possibility if she wants to wrestle. She absolutely remains a possibility. Excuse me. I think you look at and you start to look at rosters. Who's gonna be a big wrestler that may move on? Right. That seems to be the new thing every year. There's always gonna be new wrestlers that moved on. We're still a little ways away to guess something like that. So I'm gonna go and say if Ishikawa wants to wrestle, it'll be her. I don't want to just take anyone out of companies because I don't know for sure who's available, who's not. Um, I do think that we are going to continue to see partnerships again somewhere down the road. You know, we haven't had them as much. Right? They kind of finished up all those stories recently, but you know, Natsupoi just went to the Sendai Girls show and she competed there. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that we keep going there. I just picking someone is hard because I don't know who's upset and willing to leave their company and stuff like that. And looking at the freelancers of the world, there's obviously the rumored New York City company or that has contracts signed. So that could be freelancers for as far as I know. I know some about it. I don't know everything. Um, right. Nanai's obviously not full time. If I was to pick who I want to, I'd pick Miyuki Takase in a heartbeat. I want Miyuki Takase to sign on the dotted line and be one of the very best, but I don't think that's happening. You know what? I don't know if this is joining, but the next big name to appear in Stardom Wrestle a match will be Suri. This isn't joining, but I'll give you a fun answer. It will be Suri. Suri will wrestle a match in Stardom, I think, within the next year, starting now. whenever this release, look into the next year. I think Sabree wrestles a match against a Stardom wrestler at the very least, because I think it's too. It makes too much sense not to. Next up, who should be Suzu Suzuki's first? Oh, sorry, who should Suzu Suzuki's first feud be with at Vincent Vanitas? Sorry if I said your name wrong, but thank you for the question. This is a great question. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Suzu Suzuki. And we've been going through a period here where we've been waiting and waiting. Who is she gonna fight? Who's she gonna fight? Obviously, Maika, I feel like despite the friendliness, is a top option. I also think that Shuri, right on that first night, the generational struggle, if we kept all of them out of it and we thought of like a real title feud, it's got to be Mariah or Tam. I think I think she is challenging for one of those titles by the end of the year. So I'm gonna go with Mariah or Tam as her first real feud. They've teased the Tam match already. Her and Mariah have such great history that they should play to somewhere down the line with this Wonder of Stardom title on the line. So rather than avoiding the generational struggle, I'll name only people in there because I do think that's where they're going. And I think a match against Tam for the belt does make a lot of sense based off recent findings. With this question is from Kane. With the influx of new Stardom fans from Mercedes and Mariah May, where should people go and start watching on Stardom World to get up to speed with the current Stardom? You want to watch All Star Grand Queendom. That is the ultimate show of what Stardom offers. That is the ultimate show of what you need to know. And then you can kind of skip forward to the pay per views. You can check out my 5-star Grand Prix preview and guide on Voices of Wrestling. I help you get up to speed very quickly with all the stories. You want to check out the generational struggle matches, which are on Stardom World under the last two Cork and Hall shows. You want to check out the cage match from Stardom Sunshine 2023, the best match of the year, in my opinion. Tells a beautiful story. Um, and you want to just get right up to the 5-star Grand Prix, just start day one. That'll help you get up to speed real quick because they're going to tell stories throughout that. They're going to keep you engaged. But all those things I named, so Grand Queendom, generational struggle matches, the Utami, big cage match of Stardom Sunshine, that's what you really need right now, I think, to get up to speed with current Stardom. If you want to go check out how Tam beat Mina, that's a good spot. And then how Mariah beat Tam, that's another good spot as well. I think that would get you all up to date, all around on the things you need to know. Next up, we got Tim Hunter. What qualities do you think Utami will learn in GCW, bring back to Japan to help her win the GP? The qualities of how to win again in singles matches. That's the story, right? Obviously, GCW has now grown to Ring of Honor as well, and maybe somewhere else by the time this trip is over. Of course, we are in the week leading up, so I'm sure she'll be heading back home soon. But it's the qualities of winning. It's qualities of confidence again and knowing you're the biggest star in the room. It's not GCW teaching that. It's her going into a new place and being herself, being Utami Hayashishita. Like that is the most important thing. GCW itself isn't gonna teach her anything besides how crazy popular she is. Like that's what they're gonna teach her, technically. Otherwise, it's getting that confidence back, getting that single success back, and getting reared up and ready to go heading into the 5-star Grand Prix. From Kane again, how do you think Utami coming over and working GCW and having super long merch lines could change Stardom's mindset about an America tour or even letting talent take some independent bookings in America? The America tour is going to happen. I don't know if it's a tour, but a show will happen. They're just so busy, right? They I think they've ran like 13 or 14 shows this month alone. They run more than pretty much everyone outside of New Japan. Um, so they're just busy, and that's why you see, sending these two wrestlers over. I don't think, excuse me, I don't think talent are gonna take independent bookings on their own. Like, Stardom's gonna take care of that for them and help set that up so they don't have to worry about it. Um, because at the end of the day, Stardom's doing great business, and they're gonna keep doing great business. I don't know if it changes anything. It's definitely a test, but I think it's just the beginning. It can be a test in a lot of ways, but they know. I think they know. I think they have a good grasp on how popular they've become worldwide. It doesn't take much if you look at the Stardom World numbers. Like, we got the report how high they're up. Um, it's gonna happen more and more. Like, the American stuff's gonna happen. I don't know if they're ever gonna do a full tour. They could somewhere down the line, but they don't want to leave Japan for too long when they're as red hot as they are. But I think we'll see wrestlers sent over time and time again, right? We've seen a few this year so far, saw some last year. So we're gonna keep seeing that a little more and more, I think. Xavi, who are three wrestlers who need a sink or swim singles title run in Stardom. Throw it on them, see if they can handle it. With some of the additions to the main event scene this year, some people are bound to be surpassed. It's a great question, Xavi. And my first one is Maika. I know Maika has a lot of fans, and rightfully so. I think Maika is someone that is ready to get the sink or swim opportunity. Um, can she handle the big title ring? Can she handle the Wonder? Can she handle the World? We don't know, and we won't know until she gets the shot, right? Sink or swim is something that Rossy Ogawa loves to try out. He loves to try it out. He loves to see what happens. Oftentimes they swim. It's very rare that they sink. We're doing that with Mariah right now. I think that Hazuki is another one. I think a lot of us believe, I know I do, that Hazuki will not sink if she gets that title shot, but instead have an incredible title reign. But you have to give her the shot to prove it, to let her swim. Not giving her the shot, it's not going to help. You gotta let her run. You gotta let her do it. I'm thinking just top two titles, mind you. And the other one in a sink and swim scenario is Natsupoi. I'm just naming the three people everyone's ready to see as champions. Like, let them sink or swim. I don't want to see people surpassed. I think Natsupoi has more life to her potential, title reign than Maika or Hazuki at the moment, just because I think long term she's destined for that Wonder of Stardom title, but she's got to be a name in there too. Because I know I know all three would probably swim, but you got to try it because, like Xavier said, they're bound to be surpassed. They're going to keep adding to the main event scene. Obviously, Suzu Suzuki has walked in and leaped over the likes of Azumi and Starlight Kid in the pecking order. She's the one part of the generational struggle, not them. Not them. These are the types of things you have to do. I think Starlight Kid and Azumi are interesting, but they're still so young. Why would all these wrestlers are young, but why would I have them do it yet? Right? They're both 2021. They're not sinking anytime soon. They've been surpassed by Suzu just because of Suzu's past and what she's shown, but they have plenty of time. So my three picks: Maika, Hazuki, and Natsupoi, because I do think they all will swim with the opportunity, but they have to get the opportunity to do so. Next up from Xavier again, who's someone who's been left out of these generational wars, but should be considered a company leader going forward. I probably just name them, right? The main two are gonna obviously, I think for a lot of people, be Starlight Kid and Azumi. I'd put Hana into the conversation as well. I think those three are three main event stars sitting there ready to go that aren't in these generational struggles matches. They're the next generation, I guess, technically, even though Suzuki's younger than Starlight Kid. I think that's where we're at. I think they should be considered company leaders. I think Hanan's probably the favorite out of the three, but I think Azumi has been she's a veteran of this company. She already does feel like a leader in a lot of ways, even if she's not officially. And Starlight Kid, obviously uberly popular. one of the best. But I think Hanan will be that leader out of the three, or locked in for leader, but those would be my three. They've all been left out, but they're all very important, I think, to the system. I know Momo Watanabe is obviously one that jumps up, but Momo has sadly kind of accepted that back seat. She should. She should be a very special part of this, but you know, she's just accepted her heel role. She's kind of almost taking over for what Natsuko Tora has been for years. And I do hope for Momo, because Momo's one of my favorites, but we accept what we accept. But my top choice would be Hanan, with Azumi and Starlight Kid following through. What one aspect of the back end of Stardom, so camera production value, English accessibility, more frequently live stream shows, instant download, instant upload, which is not anyone's fault. Would you change, improve if you could only select one? This is from Dylan. Probably just live stream. I just would like to see, and I know how difficult that is for them, but live stream, if they can make it happen, that would be my top choice. I want to see these shows ASAP. I want, you know, I know why they upload them, to get the subtitles in and stuff like that, and the people that do that work are incredible, because people, they put a lot of work into that, and I know they get a lot of grief for it, and that's it's not fair to them, that the Stardom schedule is so crazy and they have so many shows, but it'd be live shows, because then we wouldn't have to worry about it as much. Obviously, you don't get the subtitles as much, but I rather see the 5-star Grand Prix all live, right, than not. So that would be my top choice. Also, miking the crowds better. I think that would be my other top choice. Camera production, English. I know a lot of people want the English accessibility. I've gotten so far as a fan. I don't need that more than I need all the other things like live streaming and stuff like that. It's a great question, though. I think a lot of people all have different answers, but yeah, I think it's all fair. And who's your favorite referee from Dylan as well? Daichi. Come on. Come on. Come on. What is your opinion about this possible new American Joshi company? That's from GJ. It's an interesting question. It's a company that I've heard rumbles about for over a year now. Obviously, the connection to Bull Nakano is exciting. It's wait and see. That is my opinion. I I don't want to judge something before I know what it is, right? I don't want to assume something before I know what it is. I think it can be a good thing if everything's done right, but I don't know, right? They sound like they're doing a lot of work. They have everything that we're hearing is good, but until I actually see it and I see what they're going to do and trying to do, I can't feel confident about it, you know? That's pretty much how I feel. Like I don't feel confident about it yet. I want to, but until I know more of what talent are there, who's running it, things like that, I can't feel super confident, but I also am not going to doubt them out the gates either. I hope it works out, because I'm doing a Joshi show. Obviously, I'm rooting for the Joshi company to work. I think that would be great. This from Alex. Where does Suzu Suzuki eventually settle? And has she been harmed at all by being stuck without any direction since becoming a full timer? Where does she eventually settle? At the least, a number 2 in a faction. If this Maika faction comes to life, it'll be there. If not, she can make her own. If not, DDM. Those are the 3 options. I think she's either in a faction with Maika, a brand new one, she just joins DDM, or she's leading her own. And has she been harmed at all by being stuck without any direction since becoming a full timer? I think there's some harm in that she fades into the background a little bit, but there isn't harm because she's not losing. She doesn't lose. So that's the good thing. And I think the 5-star Grand Prix is going to remind everyone how great Suzu Suzuki is either way. So in that respect, that's a good thing. But there's definitely been a little because it's like, okay, we have so many stories going on right now. How do we just plug her in? Now we're seeing it with the generational struggle stuff, which is great. And I think that has helped raise her back up to the point of this very exciting big time signing, the biggest possible signing Stardom could have had. They got it. And I think she's going to be killing it very, very soon with the 5-star Grand Prix coming up. All right. This is from Midas Push. Midsummer Champions had 6 of the 9 out of the 9 matches, followed up by promos. What did you think of this? Is it a sign of things to come? And if so, what can we expect from a more promo heavy start, and what do you personally want to see? Well, I point to the Mina Shirakawa promos after the loss to Saya Kamatani and how that dramatically changed everything for her. She became an overnight sensation in the world of wrestling. And I think she can do it again, right? I think these promos give wrestlers opportunities to tell us how they're feeling rather than us having to wait or just go off of tweets. I think it's a great decision. Promos, I know people don't love promos, but promos are a very important part of professional wrestling. It helps you tell stories. It's not the only way to tell stories, but it can help, right? With Mina, for example. Is it a sign of things to come? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll be 6 out of the 9 matches, but it's going to be an important part because whether the champion needs to celebrate what they've done by winning, or the challenger, or Tommy's gonna leave us in suspense about her upcoming trip, it creates a buzz. Like, these promos create a buzz, and it's how we get to the next challenger. It's how we do all this. I think what we expect from a more promo heavy Stardom is excitement. A lot of excitement comes with it, a lot of interest, a lot of intrigue, a lot of question marks. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to do. And what do you personally want to see? The continuation of what we've been doing. Let these wrestlers share how they're feeling. The Mina spot, I mean, it made her a mega star. It really did. Let Julia cut those promos. Let Suzu cut those promos. Let everyone have a chance on the mic. Saya Kamatani's coming off an interview with Tokyo Sports where she said, I want to beat Mayu Iwatani and Shuri to become, or to be known as, the unwavering ace of Stardom. That's a promo I want to hear. So let her cut it. Let her say, I've beaten Shuri. I'm now the unwavering ace of Stardom. That just creates a buzz. It can create problems, right, between her and Utami, maybe, but that's what we want to see. I think that's the type of stuff I want to continue seeing. Those interviews that we all get to read, I want that to translate to these promos in the ring. The stuff of, oh, I want to face this person. Oh, I want to become the ace. Oh, I want to put those in the ring. Keep doing the interviews, but do that in the ring as well, because I think that's how the buzz is created. It's clear that Utami is the person to watch at this year's GP. Despite her whose GP run is going to be most important for Stardom fans to watch. Whose Stardom career, besides Utami, will hinge the most on how their GP goes and how it is. In other words, this year's GP is make or break for insert person here. I was gonna save all GP questions for Thursday, but this one jumped out to me. I thought I could answer this kind of as a little teaser. Whose GP run is going to be the most important for Stardom fans to watch? Suzu Suzuki. I think it's going to be very important to see now that she's a full member. Who's she beating? How many points does she end up with? Does she have a chance on the final night? things like that, because that's going to give you an understanding of one, how great of a wrestler she is. Maybe if you haven't seen all of her pay-per-view spots over the past few years, or her 5-star Grand Prix last year, this is going to give you a whole idea of what they see in her now that she's signed. And you're also going to learn how phenomenal of a professional wrestler she truly is. Now, who do whose career hinge on how their GP goes, make or break? it's a it's a spicy one. Momo Watanabe. Momo Watanabe needs to show the killer instinct again. 2023 has been pretty poor for her. 2022, I thought she did great in trios and tag stuff. Like, she was fantastic. This year has been a disappointment. She doesn't look driven. She doesn't look like she cares. Maybe it's hard for her to care. Maybe she doesn't enjoy it. But this could be make or break for her moving forward. I think she needs to have a truly fantastic performance. And I know she can. I just want to see that version of Momo come out. I don't care win or lose. I just want to see the old Momo come out. She has a lot of big matches. She has a big match with Utami, big match with Izumi on the final night, big match with Mirai on the opening night. Like, these are big spots. Momo, you got to step up. I know you can. Like I said, you're one of my favorites. I said that earlier, but you got to step up. These final two questions, and then we're done here. Nice, almost hour-long Q&A. Thank you so much, everybody. With the inevitable success of Utami's U.S. tour, who are the key Stardom talents that will translate best to the U.S. audience as it continues to expand? Who would you send over next at 6 Stardom? Julia. But I will give more interesting answers. Mina Shirakawa. I think she would translate great. She speaks some English too. Could cut some promos. Natsupoi. Natsupoi, someone who I think is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and her in-ring and her seriousness can surprise people. I think I would send Mina over next, though. I think she's the one that will do a lot of good. She had that one match, but I'd send her over for a little tour, maybe. I think she would do tremendous. And then I'd send Azumi. Get that high speed on TV. Get that high speed anywhere. It's going to wow a lot of people. And some might not catch up. That's not her fault. High speed wrestling can make anyone a Joshi fan. I firmly believe that. And Azumi's the very best at it. And the final question from Brad: in the regards to the generational struggle matches, have they done them before the handful this year? And are they just a series of matches with nothing else behind them? After they're over, the rest of those just go back to their factions with the people on the other side of the matches. Is the payoff eventually going to be faction shakeups? I've liked what they've done so far this year. Has talent moving to new groups, and these generational struggle matches have been very fun. No, not from my memory have they done specific generational struggle matches. This has been a very fun and exciting story to create that has made a buzz for not only Cork and Hall shows, but every wrestler participating in them. I don't think they're just a series of matches with nothing else behind them. This is truly generations trying to prove themselves. The veteran generation of Mayu, Tam, Shuri, and Julia, they've pretty much run the company over the past 3-4 years. These new folks, Saya Kamatani, Utami, for example, they've been at the top, but it still goes to those other four. Maika, Mirai, and Suzu Suzuki, they're trying to now take over, right? There is a lot behind them. There is a meaning behind these in that it's the big story going towards the closing of the year. Tam Nakano is your vet. I think you're going to get a younger generation wrestler against her. That's why I think a younger generation wrestler wins the 5-star Grand Prix. I don't know if the payoff will be faction shakeups. I think it will between Mike and Julia. Almost feels like it has to. There's just a lot going on, and that's the excitement of it. They're making them count, right? They've made the next one part of the Grand Prix. They don't usually add things to the GP matches. You usually just have what you got and you get excited for that. No. They've added here. They're making you care about all 9 competitors. And I think it's going to have a heavy connection the rest of the way. I think the talent tied up, the younger talent tied up by going 2-1 on that day in September. And then we'll have our next steps. But they are doing this for a reason, not just to do it. And I think I agree with you. It has been very fun. It's been one of the best parts of Stardom all year. So maybe the best thing they've added all year. But that's it. Thank you, everyone, for joining me for the 5-star Q&A. I really do appreciate all those questions, and I hope my answers were good. Some of them, I was like, oh, I don't know. But it does mean a lot that I get all those questions. I'll be back in probably after the 5-star Grand Prix with another one. I think the lot is going to have to go on for the next little bit before it matters again to do one of these. So we'll wait and see on that. But you can always ask me questions on the live streams that I do, including, of course, the 5-star Grand Prix live stream preview this upcoming Thursday, July 20th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll be there breaking down each competitor, each block, predicting winners, paying out the best matches, all that good stuff for you live. And I'll be answering questions and having people give their thoughts on who is going to win the tournament. If you want to follow me at Scotty Wrestling on Twitter. If you want to check out my 5-star Grand Prix guide over on voiceofthewrestling.com, you can do that right now. I think it's the best in the biz. I don't know. I know a lot of good people that are doing a lot of good guides. I'm just really proud of mine. And it gives you the blocks, schedules, stories, stats, and facts and notes and favorites and dark horses and matches to look out for. I tried to pack in a lot, and I encourage you to read everyone else's thoughts, because I think everyone has different thoughts going into these, but I'm very proud of it. And it means a lot if you do check that out. So please do. But yeah, that's it. I'll be back on Thursday for the live 5-star Grand Prix preview. So be there. I don't know if I'll have an episode up this week, but if I don't, I'll tell you this: watch Natsupoi versus Chihiro Hashimoto from Sendai Girls. That is the best tip I can give you. So until next time, see ya.